Yayati's story appears in the book of the beginning of the Epic Mahabharata. Yayati was the ancestor of the Pandavas, the main heroes of Mahabharata. He was the king of the earth. His children, Yadu and Puru, began the Yadav and Puru dynasty. So, how did he end up cursed then? Let us find out. Devyani was the daughter of Sage Shukracharya. Once, she went to a water bank to bathe with Sharmishtha and other friends. Sharmishtha was the daughter of King Vrishparva. After bathing, by mistake Sharmishtha wore Devyani's clothes. Devyani got angry and called Sharmishtha names. In turn, Sharmishtha also got angry and shot fireworks of insult not only at Devyani but also at her father. A quarrel ensued between both, and during the fight, Sharmishtha accidentally pushed Devyani into a nearby well and then fled the scene. Yeah, I know. Later, King Yayati, during one of his hunting trips, found the well and helped Devyani climb out of it by taking her hand. Devyani told him that he was the only man who had touched her, hence he must take her as his wife. Beware before you touch anyone's hands, I guess. Yayati was mesmerized with Devyani's beauty. However, he feared that Shukracharya might not allow a marriage between a Brahmin and a Kshatriya. After Devyani reassured him that she would persuade her father, Yayati agreed. Lucky Yayati. Went to hunt a deer but got a beautiful bride instead. Now you might be wondering what happened to the brawl between Sharmishtha and Devyani. Well, Devyani spilled the beans to Shukracharya, who turned angrier than a demon at a tea party and threatened to pack his mystical bags and leave the kingdom. That is when King Vrishparva had to step in to smooth things over and stop Shukra from leaving. He reluctantly agreed to let Sharmishtha become Devyani's slave on Devyani's demand. The things that we do for the sake of the kingdoms. Indeed, it is quite the twist in the tale. Princess turned into a servant. With her marriage and union with Yayati, Devyani proudly welcomed her eldest son Yadu into the world. Sharmishtha, on the other hand, couldn't help but feel that her youth was slipping away faster than a speeding chariot, and the prospect of motherhood seemed as distant as finding a unicorn at petting zoo. At last, she realized her master's husband equals to her husband, so why not ask him to father her child? And that's exactly what she did. One day, as luck would have it, she found Yayati strolling alone in the garden. Seizing the opportunity, she asked him. Though Yayati was initially reluctant, he eventually yielded to her persuasive requests. After all, Sharmishtha, despite being a slave, was still a beautiful princess, right? Yayati began an affair with her, which resulted in the birth of a boy named Dhruyu. When Devyani learned about the birth of the child, she confronted Sharmishtha and asked about the father. Sharmishtha told her that a sage, pleased with her prayers and service, had blessed her with a child. Probably that's what she thought in her head. And Devyani believed it. Well, anything could happen in the mythical times. Years went by, and Yayati found contentment with his wife and the secret mistress. Devyani gave birth to 2 sons, while Sharmishtha had 3 sons. When Yayati and Devyani were walking in the garden and wandered off to the children's play area, Sharmishtha's children were playing in the garden. Observing them, Devyani got suspicious. Of course, they were beautiful and looked awfully like her husband. She approached the children and asked them who their father was. Without hesitation, the children pointed directly at Yayati. Devyani was angrier than ever. She felt utterly betrayed by Yayati and Sharmishtha. To Yayati's dismay, she stormed off to file a formal complaint with her dad. Shukracharya was furious and cursed Yayati that he would instantly get old and would not be able to do the things that he loved so much. Yayati, realizing he was in a pickle, begged Shukra for forgiveness, tried to persuade him saying that he had had very little time with Devyani and wanted to experience life to the full extent. As Yayati pleaded, Shukracharya's anger began to wane, and he offered a potential solution to the curse. He proposed that if any of Yayati's children agreed to give him the youth, he could regain his vigor and remain young up to 1,000 more years. The son who made the sacrifice would inherit Yayati's kingdom. Yayati gathered his 5 children and asked each one of them if they would be willing to give up their youth. The first 4 of his children denied, reasoning that they hadn't enjoyed life to the fullest and weren't keen on living like an old man. Yayati did not like how his children reacted and cursed them. So, Yayati got cursed, got a counter curse, but found no luck in completing it, got frustrated and cursed his children. But then entered the youngest son Puru, who perhaps feeling a bit sorry for his dad or just eager to prove himself, raised his hand and said, "Why not?" He agreed to swap his youth for his father's collection of wisdom and wrinkles. Yayati got the glory of his youth back again, and with that, he once more began to fully indulge in his favorite pastimes, all in pursuit of the greatest pleasure. The king reveled in the enjoyment of all his desires, from women to wine and everything in between. His only regret was the inevitable end of those 1,000 years. When Yayati saw that the 1,000 years were over, he called his son and gave back Puru's youth. Yayati admitted that he fully enjoyed his life, but his desires never got satiated. So he shared his wisdom with Puru. You know, kid, our desires are like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. They just keep leaking. Even if you owned everything on earth, the food, the treasures, the animals, even the people, you would still find yourself wanting more. So my advice to you, young Puru, is to seek contentment not in the never-ending pursuit of stuff, but in the purity of your heart.
Puru took this sage advice and became a remarkable and virtuous monarch. Meanwhile, Yayati decided to spend the rest of his days on earth as a celibate, proudly realizing that the pursuit of wisdom might be the only path to true fulfillment.